Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev. And usually I would do a quick 10-minute, 15-minute instant match reaction. But after today's game, after traveling all the way back from Birmingham back up to Newcastle, I thought we had to get on and quickly just do a match reaction live. So, Kev, yet again, Aston Villa never cease to amaze us. This team at the minute is just absolutely crazy.
Well, this team's got the ability to do what I hope we can do, which is put this away quite quickly so we can watch the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done with you, by the way, timing this podcast for the ring walk time. Perfect, brilliant, Rich. That was from you. Listen, all jokes aside, talking about Aston Villa going joint top of the Premier League and beating Wolves 2 years in a row, and mind that gap can now just finally go to sleep. But yeah, I mean, this is what we do. I've said it recently a lot. Obviously, it's something that I think we've seen that a big team does do stuff like this. So an amazing stat, if I can speak. Shout out to Aston Villa Stato. Obviously, he's great with his stuff he puts out on X, saying this is we've won obviously the last two games. Have you seen this stat? Won the last two games after being behind, and
At half
in
time.
it at halftime, and the previous 99 games we did it, didn't we, as well? So
Yeah.
literally, like, this is the level of Villa now. And we were turgid that first half. It was poor. We were rubbish, and yet we've not like just come out of that with a 1-0 home defeat to Wolves, which might have happened in the past, or in the past we might have lost that 2 or 3-0 after not playing very well. We've got the quality to win it by a couple of goals. I said to my lad, I was like, when we equalised, I was like, we'll win this 3-1 at
Mm,
least.
mm,
And
mm.
we didn't really create any chances for 60, 70 minutes. And it's just the quality of the team. I have to think to myself, it's amazing. It's amazing to be a Villa fan right now. And I've got to pinch myself. Life is topsy turvy. I've been in better moments in my personal life, and Villa have been terrible. And it's a bit of a flip, in terms of at the moment. But like, it's just great, isn't it, to be a Villa fan? It's just great.
It's just fantastic. I mean, we said yesterday in terms of teams coming to Villa, knowing that the dangers that we've got, the weapons that we've got in the starting 11, but also the dangers that we've got to come off the bench, the way that they will set up the Villa's expectation level in terms of knowing that we'll create chances, knowing that we'll be able to bring players off the bench to change games, and just the aura that we've got of a top side now. And as you said, we didn't play very well for. I mean, that first half was possibly one of the worst that we've played. We just couldn't get going. Wolves stifled us. They stopped us from going through the middle. Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey just couldn't get any movements, couldn't get any rhythm going. McGinn was. We know now he's got a bit of an injury, but he couldn't get going at all down that right hand side in any way, shape, or form. But to change it at half time, to bring Leon Bailey on, to bring Matson on, to offer some pace out wide, to then make Wolves have to open up a little bit, to then create the spaces through the middle. It's just being able to have those options and now know that we are a top side that can do that.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, right, is we didn't play great initially against Everton, obviously. We didn't play great against Wolves. Obviously, we had the away trip to Europe, but we did that last season and obviously seemed to win most of the games, obviously, when we came back. But the difference now, I think, particularly when you got Mings and Kamara back in that team, is if you're off it, if you're off it, then you'll be out of the team.
Mm.
That's the levels. I think I saw Matt Mayher, who writes for the Express and Star, putting out some of Unai's comments earlier on X and saying that apparently it's the biggest rollicking Unai's given his team at halftime.
Mm.
And
Well, I'm not surprised. They were
yeah,
poor. I mean, Wolves were good first half, and Cunha really good goal, but Carlos sloppy again in possession with that pass. But just everything was off. Like it was almost as if we were just thought we'll just stand off them, and then we'll keep organised. We'll stand off them, and they'll make the mistake. But you can't. You can't do that. I mean, similar to how Wolves were in that second half, is they tried to hold the game and waste time and do all that kind of stuff. It's difficult to get yourself out of that when Villa equalised. Much like in the first half, Villa were like we couldn't get out of that malaise of just
mm.
standing off them. We just and then yeah, it's just very difficult. If you don't start at the right tempo, you can't then just bring yourself out of it, and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and I see some fans saying, oh, it's a bit worrying, and it's a bit like last season. I ain't too worried, and I tell you, I'm not worried because if you think about it, it's like when we talk about Watkins, right? And we say, "Oh, Watkins, he's not scored for 8 games and he's off it." We forget that. Look at the grief that Solanke's been getting. Haaland's had spells when he's been called a League Two footballer. Last season at times when he was having he's less prolific in front of goal and missing a lot of chances. Look at Darwin Núñez. Look at loads of strikers. Strikers will get it, and with your team, because we're so innately like just Villa's at our core. We obsess about everything, most of the Villa fans. So we critique it as well massively, and some of
Mm.
us are more positive, some of us are more negative. But there's been games when Arsenal have been rubbish and then managed to nick a win. You know,
Last week against Tottenham,
last week against Tottenham, Man City didn't have a great game against Brentford, did they? Managed to sneak over the line. The Liverpool obviously lost to Forest, and it's not always like we think about these other big teams that they're turning everybody over 4-5-0 every week. There's plenty of games where they don't play brilliant and manage to win. I mean, it was the mark of Man United. I think someone said getting vibes about Unai with Fergie in the 90s
mm,
in the comments, but see if you can find that pop it. We'll give him a
I'll
bit of
try
credit.
and find it.
Yeah, but I think that's it. The amount of times I can think about watching Man United in the 90s when, oh, can United get a winner here? Not been a good day at the office. And then you'd always have the pundits, Keys and Gray saying, mark of a big team. Clearly, you don't want to keep playing terribly and going behind in games, and you want to have a bit more control. But look, I think we've got enough in that squad now. And hey, I'm sure you'll talk about it, but being able to bring on players that are you're not making the team worse when you bring on subs. If anything, we made the team better today by bringing on subs.
It's absolutely. He's got the options now. He's massively got different. Like when we keep talking horses for courses. The situation wasn't right for Onana today. He was making some good tackles, but he can't get his legs going. He can't get into his rhythm when it's tightly packed in midfield. He needs to learn how to kind of move the ball a little bit quicker.
Mm,
Morgan Rogers in that first half couldn't get moving. He couldn't get his rhythm going. Jacob Ramsey was trying to get the ball on the half turn, which was good, but he was beating a man and then getting tackled just because of the way that Wolves were set up, and we were just too slow getting them into position. But then he can make the changes at half time. So Ian Matson, the game was made for Ian Matson because we needed to get that pace down that left hand side a little bit more than Luca Dean had. And then Leon Bailey, we had to get someone right out on the right hand side because Ait Nori was dropping into midfield and making that extra man, and he was causing us problems. And it was just it gradually moved on and on and on. And I know that Wolves had the better of the first half. They had a couple of other decent chances, but the second half was just all Villa. Like it was really all Villa, and it did take till the 70th minute to have an opportunity, but like you said, once that momentum started to pick up, I think it was when Bailey went round the outside of Ait Nouri and put a cross in, and Watkins had a header.
yeah,
After that, it was all Villa, and yeah, one player who came on and really, really, really did change the game, bring us some class, bring us some quality into that central midfield area was Ross Barkley. He was absolutely fantastic.
yeah. I think actually it's his poise, it's his calmness, it's his. I mean, his passing statistics are unbelievable in the 3 appearances he's made. I think it is. I mean, absolutely brilliant. I think he's only misplaced like 1 or 2 passes in like 3 games when he's played.
Mm.
It's just absolutely tremendous. And that some of those might obviously be fairly progressive passes, not like he's doing a 2 yarder one with some of them. He's just a quality player. He looks fit. He looks strong. He's just so good on the ball. He's great with both feet. He's just a quality addition to bring in. And I do think there'll be some games with us where it'll suit a Barkley, some it'll suit an Onana, some it'll suit a Kamara, and often a blend of both, or sometimes even three of them. In some games when you maybe want to have an Arna and Kamara, It's not easy to say quickly.
No.
Um, yeah, when you want to have banana, the Kamara, yeah, and O'Hara.
It's like bananas in pajamas.
It is, yeah, yeah. Jamie O'Hara talking about Anana and Kamara. Sorry, I can't do it now. Sorry. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, but it's just it's brilliant to have that. Also talking about people coming into the team. I wanted to just just briefly talk back about our let's front up right. It was concerning first half. It wasn't great,
Mm.
and Unai probably thinks he should have changed the team, and absolutely correct. But do you know what? I've seen him get some grief from some fans on Twitter, on X, even though he hasn't played for a year and a bit. I think Tyrone Mings would make a huge, huge difference to that defense. I'm not saying he'd play every game, but I think if there's a way you'd have it where, and obviously then you got what's going to happen with Pau Torres. I'm not saying you drop Pau Torres because obviously he's brilliant, but I just think there'd be some games where he would be massive. I could think back, maybe I'm doing this with Claret and Blue and Tyrone Mings design specs, right? But I think back to that second half of the season when Unai came in, I felt like we had quite a few clean sheets. And
Mm.
I felt like with Mings in the team, when he wasn't like giving the ball away, which he's doing in his Gerrard days of his career, a bit more. I just felt we were way more solid in that team. And if there's a way you can work it out to get Mings playing, I just think it gives us that physical presence. Particularly when you're up against like big strikers, like we talked about Calvert Lewin the other week. And I
Absolutely.
and I think he's got less of a Rick in him in recent Unai times. I know it's albeit a year ago than Carlos seems to have. I think he's more mobile than Carlos. Um, so I actually think he could be a real asset for us because let's call it what it is. We can't keep a clean sheet in the Premier League,
No.
and that is a
No.
concern if you really want to. Look, the other thing is this: Man City might get docked a number of points. I don't want to sit here and say they're the team that are. But pull that face on me, Richard. Come
I
on,
know what you're gonna say.
what do you
Someone's
expect?
got to win it.
Well, I'm going to say that in a second, but I'm trying to make a bit of a coherent point first of all before I go all like someone's got to win it, right? But like Liverpool under a new manager, Arsenal are a really good team. We beat them home and away last season. I know they've beaten us this season, so we can't do that again. But like, if Man City, this all-conquering four-time in a row Premier League champions, are all of a sudden through their own bloody cheating are out of the title race, then for me it's wide open. It
Mm.
is wide open, and worst case scenario in that situation, you at least confirm top four again, which is massive for the club in the future. But looking at that scenario where Tottenham, with that team they had, 2015, 16, what was it? Kane, Ali, you know, Son, Modric. I think Modric was whoever it was in the team back then, and they lost the league to Leicester in the
Mm.
year that Leicester won it. I know they got pipped right at the end, but they'd already switched off when they knew the league was gone. You've got to take your opportunities in football. And I look at this and think, you know what? If we get to the end of the season and we miss out on top spot by 3, 6, 8 points, whatever, and we look back to some games where we can see these stupid goals, we will kick ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. There are going to be, with all due respect to Wolves, there are going to be tougher tests to come. You look at Fulham away, just beating Newcastle 3-1. There are going to be some tough games where you're going to have to go in and keep a clean sheet and be solid and defend balls into the box and just kind of dig in. And I think, yeah, I think you're right. Tyrone Mings, a fully fit Tyrone Mings, if we can get him anything back to what he was like in that 22-23 season,
That's the key bit.
that's
Yeah.
that's where I think we will have an extra option and an extra solidity to the team, 100%. Let's just talk. Let's talk the goals before we kind of jump off, because I think we'll probably dissect the performance more, talk about Wickham as well tomorrow night. I think if we can. So Ollie Watkins, great for him to get back on the score sheet, and yet again another substitute, and John Duran causing some chaos. Him and Watkins up front together, a body up top who just, I don't know, just disrupts defenders, makes the ball, if he doesn't win the ball, he makes it hard for the defender to clear it or to run out with it. And that's exactly what happened. I think the ball went into the box and it was bobbling about, and then Morgan Rogers manages to pick it up, lays it into Ollie Watkins, who finishes. I think it hits the keeper and goes in or goes under the keeper. But yeah, obviously second game in a row that Watkins scores, but just by having that extra body up top, causes problems and causes disruption.
Duran was the difference maker in terms of the game. I mean, and this is what I like about his game this season as well. I know he's not played loads of minutes. He's obviously just behind Haaland now, isn't he, in terms of goals per minutes ratio? Like it's so close now. He's obviously cut that time down again. I think we need Haaland to like not score at the weekend, and then he'll maybe overtake him. But um, that bit you're talking about, obviously you were at the game, weren't you? So you maybe obviously
Hmm.
didn't get the benefit of the replay. Duran gave the ball away like it was a heavy touch, and he battled back. And what I love this season, he doesn't seem to be giving a yellow card away after like 10 seconds. Last season, it was like literally every time he got the ball, he'd like overstretch it, smash into someone, yellow card. Oh my God, that's him like, a bit, he's going to be a bit more tepid after that, isn't he? Because he's not going to be able
Hmm.
to run around. So he gave the ball away. He then gets it back by grafting really hard. Then it gets to Rogers. Rogers plays it into Watkins. I think he took a nick off the defender actually and looked over the keeper, but it was on target, so it would have been, but he may have saved it. I don't know what would have happened. And that's Duran making the difference, and that's Watkins can back in now in this. You can't call it a purple patch when he's only scored in one game, but 2 games now,
Yeah.
and you fancy him. We've got Ipswich coming
And
up.
he
You fancy
technically scored on Tuesday as well.
he did technically score on Tuesday, yeah, and he should have had more because Rogers should have passed it to him. So yeah, I feel like even though no one was really great in that first half, he still gets his goal, and that's a mark of a good striker. And yeah, good to see them both on the pitch. When Duran came on, obviously we then got 3 goals with them. I think they're both on the pitch for 2 of them, and then obviously the third goal came at the end. Obviously when Watkins had gone, but that's just brilliant to see, isn't it? It's like it's that you can play them together, and I think I think you get that with football fans sometimes. We start to convince yourself that certain players can't play together,
Yeah.
and actually, I think they can, and it's probably almost the same sort of argument when you think about maybe I don't know, a Barkley and a Buendia, or maybe a Kamara and an Anana. Like can they play together? I think they're clever footballers. We've got a genius coach. I think he can sort out a system that makes it work.
100%. 100%. And then the clincher in terms of the decisive goal to make it 2-1. Esri Konsa at the back post. It was a poor initial corner from Yuri Tielemans, but then it comes back out to him and one touch, and then just loops it into the back post. Great ball in, and Carlos and Konsa at the back post. I think it was a 2-on-1 against the defender. Again, Wolves players ball watching, going after the ball, and yeah, as he's I don't know, as he's diving down, he smashes it in with the outside of his right foot. It's a great finish, but I don't know how much he knew about it. He just threw himself at it, and
Yeah,
it smashed off his foot and into the net, and he's absolutely ecstatic. But he scores against Wolves again.
yeah, amazing. I mean, at least he meant this one, like not like last season. But
Yeah.
it was a great ball actually. After the first bit of the corner wasn't great, great balling by Tielemans. I mean, either of them could have scored it. Carlos trying to make up for his error in the first half, but yeah, Konza was there. Bang, 2-1, momentum shift, and you know, there was no looking back from there. And they obviously had a bit of the ball, and we thought that maybe they might, they flirted with having a couple of chances, really. But yeah, that was it really. When I felt like it was a killer for them, and just showing what we can do in such a short space of time. Reminiscent, really, of that Crystal Palace game as well. Remember last
Mhm.
season when we were one down going into almost injury time, and then obviously we got the 3 goals. I just felt like from that point, then it could have been 3 or 4.
Mm.
There was like 15 minutes ish between the goals from 73 minutes. So just great stuff. And we also knew there was going to be at least 10, 15 minutes injury time. So
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
getting to 85 minutes. You knew you actually probably had at least 15, 20 minutes left.
yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, Wolves they tried, they huffed and puffed, but as I say, it's so difficult to go from trying to contain the game, wasting time, to then all of a sudden you're 2-1 down, and you've got to think, oh well, we best try and go for the game again. They just couldn't do it, and they had a few attacks, and they had a few, like you say, flashes across the box and stuff, but nothing that was really dangerous. And then the man himself, John Duran, comes up with another goal. Great break, Morgan Rogers across, and he could have missed today, and just yeah, brilliant finish. And it's what is it? It's something like I messaged you guys. He's a goal every 80 minutes or something, and and Haaland's every 79 minutes, so he's catching him up as the most deadly striker in the Premier League at the minute.
Yeah, well, Haaland's on 9 goals. Obviously, he's a freak of nature. Luis Diaz has got 5. Nicholas Jackson's got 4. John Duran's got 4.
Mm.
There you go. And Watkins has got 3. So, like, he's not that far off despite having a horrendous start of the season. Great play on the left-hand side, intricate play, being brave with the ball. Tielemans just manages to feed it out wide. I think it might have been Matson, I think, then into lightly on the left wing into
Yes,
Rogers.
Rogers.
Good ball then, obviously. And yeah, brilliant. Like, Duran was there doing what he does. And this one counted. It wasn't the most, spectacular finish. We saw that beautiful curling, great, like 1-2, like move on what night was it?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night, yeah, which was obviously chalked off. We saw the absolute thunderbolt, that happened against Everton. So, I think you'd happily take a 3 or 4 yard tapping, whatever it was, that'll do.
And we are joint top of the Premier League, Kev.
And the Champions League.
Yes, just to round off, and we will jump on tomorrow because Lewis had put no one winning a shirt tonight. We will obviously, as I said, do that tomorrow. We'll reflect a little bit more on today's performance and also talk Wickham, because I think we've got them on Tuesday night, so I expect quite a few changes to be made for that and give some players an opportunity. It's funny because Nedeljkovic was going to come on at one point, and I think it might have been whether we scored the second goal, I think, and then Emery went, sit back down, son.
Yeah, I love it.
But so I
Do what you
expect
gotta
to see
do.
him. But yeah, mate, all in all, fantastic result. Top of the table, joint top of the table, keeping that run going, and then obviously going into Ipswich next week, got to be another opportunity to get 3 points. But like all these wins, all these different ways to win, obviously down at halftime, not playing well, changes made, and then a real reaction in that second half shows that we can win in all different ways, and it's obviously bodes well for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I say just finally as well. Obviously, what a ride under Unai, 2 years in. Conference League qualification really out of nowhere from where we were in November. Champions League qualification, and we're going into almost October, and we're praying for a draw between Man City and Arsenal to keep us in touch with the top of the table. What a world we live in right now. And I'm praying for a draw in that game. So, will they only be like them, like 1 point off the top or something? It's just absolute 2 points off the top. It's just absolute madness. So,
Mm.
pinch yourselves, Villa fans. Enjoy the ride. We got Boubacar and Tyrone back soon. We got Ross. We got John. We got Ian knocking on the door for starts. Competition is high for places. It's just an exciting time. And yeah, that's 4 wins now, Richard, out of 5 in the Premier League. Lost to Arsenal at home. Could have easily won that game. Unlucky to lose that match with the chances we had. We've got 100% record away from home before we go into Ipswich, which again, doesn't matter who you play in the Premier League, but to win 2 away, not easy to go to the King Power and to obviously the London Stadium. And obviously now we've won the last 2 home games from being behind. There's resilience there. There's control. There's quality. There's excitement. There's yellow cards for Unai. The passion on the side of the pitch. It's just absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
100%. And there is a shock, or I don't know if it's a shock, but there's since we've been on, the boxing is already over.
Wow.
And
He's done, isn't he?
it's probably not the result that people expected either. Mr. Do, for any spoilers, I don't want to spoil it. Maybe people are going to watch it, so yeah, you can find out what's happened. But it's finished. It's all over. But yeah, I think that does us for our brief reaction. What a win! What a game! What a second half! And as I say, we'll be back tomorrow night for the Lions Roar, where we'll go into some more detail into the performances, and we'll talk Wickham. And as I say, we'll announce our winner of our shirt from our 500th show. So thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Help us on the road to 5k, and keep your comments flying in on your thoughts on today's performance. Kev, I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.